Today I'm going to show you how I went from working in retail, doing an Uber Eats delivery driver on my bicycle, making £1,200 a month to making over $10,000 as an online coach using my personal brand. Now this is a very special video for me. Now this has never been normal. I want to give you a bit of a backstory from where I started to how I got to where I am now. Now for those that don't know who I am, my name is Brandon, also known as Sunwa. Just an average kid who grew up in South London to two immigrant parents. I didn't finish college, I didn't go to university, but I was always this ambitious person who always wanted to be successful. Now, like every person in South London, you were either a footballer or a rapper. I wasn't a rapper, I tried to become a footballer, it didn't go my way. Now fast forward many years after trying to become a real estate agent, thinking that being in a suit was success for me, it wasn't the thing. I became a personal trainer, COVID happened, I had to leave friends, family, relationships, everything behind and start a new life in Spain. Now as soon as I hit 25, that was the turning point in my life because I realized I've got no career path, I've got no money, what the hell am I doing with my life? Now that's when I first started posting videos on the internet, and that's when I finally got a bit of traction, because at that point I said, what do I have to lose? Now I finally got traction and I started to get all the attention that I wanted. Now at that time that felt like success. I was getting attention from all of these girls and I got invited to special events and I felt like the man. However, I realized quickly that wait, these followers aren't paying my bills. I am still broke, and that's when I was desperate for trying to make money. I tried drop shipping, I tried trading, I tried crypto. I was just trying so many different methods trying to chase money that all that led was to frustration and me making no money, and nothing worked out. Then I quickly realized I was just trying to chase money, and the moment I didn't see it, I would always end up breaking because I was always waiting for that next moment. Is it this? That was always on the edge. Then I quickly realized the problem wasn't the method, it wasn't crypto, it wasn't trading, it wasn't drop shipping. The problem was me. I felt so entitled, I felt like I was owed something, and I was complaining for not seeing the results for the work that I wasn't putting in. That's when I found my first ever mentor. He showed me what discipline was. He showed me to fall in love with the process and not the result. And this is something that we talk about because we're so focused on an outcome that we don't realize that taking the action is what creates the outcome, but you are not the individual that can create that. The problem isn't the gym. The problem is the person that goes into the gym. The weights are exactly the same, but it's the mentality that you go in with, the aggression that you attack the weights, which changes the outcome of each individual person. Now this is the same with everything in life. I had very bad habits. I would wake up late, I'll eat whatever I wanted, I'll go to the gym whenever I wanted, whenever I wanted to have quick dopamine, I would have it. I had no sense of self-control. Now the moment shit got hard, I would quickly run to an escape. Now my escape was either at that time women, at that time it was go on Instagram, at that time was just have fun. And this is why I don't believe in coincidences. Now at that time where I was living in Spain, there was a guy that I once knew who was going to my gym, and he started to become very successful. He started to have, his mentality was locked in. He changed completely as a person. Now he became my first ever mentor. Now growing up in South London, no one ever talks about mentors, and this is something that I learned along the way. Someone has something that you want and they give you the blueprint on how you should follow it. Now I was chasing money, then I realized the method wasn't the problem, I was. Now after I invested in my first mentor, after a few months I invested in my second mentor, $3,000 per month. Was that a lot of money for me? Of course it was a lot of money for me. Now at that time I said to myself, worst case scenario, I work a couple more months and I make this money back. Best case scenario, I get the symptom that I need and I change my life, which is the very reason why I went to him in the first place, because I knew he had what I wanted, and that's exactly what happened. Because all a mentor does is that they speed the process from you getting to where you are now to where you want to get to. Yes, you can do it along with this video, you can change it. However, a mentor gives you the clarity. It gets rid of your doubts, it gets rid of those insecurities, it gets rid of those what ifs, it gets rid of am I doing it right? And I said to myself, I wouldn't get this done. I'd rather waste 2 months working again than wasting 2 years and trying to figure it out myself. The reason you can't see it happen is because you don't believe you can happen. Why? Because you always have doubt in your mind. Whenever you start, am I going to make this happen? Because you live in doubt within yourself. When you look in the mirror, are you proud of the person that you see? Physically? Mentally? Is there any areas that you are avoiding to work on? How do you expect to be great at something else, at dropshipping, at online coaching, at personal branding, if you are not even great at being yourself? The moment you believe in yourself, then you believe you can achieve anything else. I can give you the blueprint, which I am at the end of this video, but if you are not capable, of following through. The problem isn't the blueprint. The problem is you, that you don't believe you can get the outcome, which eventually you end up throwing the towel and then you blame the thing, which is why everyone's a victim to their circumstance instead of putting the blame on themselves. Once you put the blame on you, you finally get your power back. Because if you look in the mirror and you know you should be working on something and you don't change it, that will always be at the back of your mind, and that will seep through to anything else that you do. I'm going to show you the exact systems which I used to make my first ever dollar to making $10,000 online. Now, the first thing I done was I documented my journey. I overcame a problem because everyone's so focused on going on social media to try to sell. No one cares about your product. No one goes on social media to buy. People go on social media to become social. You have to become friends. You have to give value, because at the end of the day, people buy from people they trust, not from people they like, from people they trust. And how do you build trust? By consistently showing up and solving a problem. Now, in this case, I solved the problem that I managed to overcome. Being someone who's insecure, being someone who didn't have confidence, and I documented that journey and constantly showed my transformation, constantly giving free value. Now we live in a world where everyone wants everything and give nothing in exchange. Then they complain why they don't see an outcome. And how do you do this? By consistently showing up on your social media platform. I'm gonna show you exactly how you use your different platforms. Now you have this area of knowledge where you share with people as you create friends. Well, they will start to ask you questions. How do you do it? You start to create a community. Now, I've got a community as of today of 353,000 followers, and I get over 30 million views every single month. Now, how do I do this? By sharing value, something that means something to me, and then people engage in conversation. This is the secret, how to use your social media platforms. Not every platform is exactly the same. Now, you have Instagram and you have YouTube, where we are seeing each other now. Now, Instagram isn't just Instagram. There are several components on how it works. You have Instagram stories, you have Reels, and you have your posts. So Reels is where you create awareness, you create content curated to bring numbers in, because the best service is the best known service. If you have the best product in the world and no one knows it exists, well, how can people buy from you? Now, Reels create awareness because it has a high number of views. Now, once you do that, you enter posts, where this is where you become an authority, where you speak about your area of knowledge, where you speak about that transformation which you managed to overcome, and people who are living in where you were before, now you give them help. And this is why I say people who don't create content are selfish, because the same way you needed that information to where you are now, you are going to be that bridge for that person who's in that situation now. Create all of this content on Instagram. You also want to make long form content where you give them the solution to their problem, the same way I'm doing it now, for free, with nothing in exchange. This is where you create relationships. YouTube is a completely different consumer. Now they're giving you more of their time, where now you become family. And now this is how you convert the person to end up buying anything that they want from you, because they see enough value. They're giving you the most important thing that they have. Not money, time. Money you can make, this time you'll never get back, so I thank you for it. This is what no one ever tells you about. Everyone is so afraid to post on stories because their engagement is going to go down, their traction is going to go down. Now, this is the secret. When you post on stories, this is like your reality TV show. This is where you show what you do in your day-to-day, the things that you like, and you speak about a current topic. And this is what I do every single day. Why? Because it builds trust. People see that they show up, that you show up every single day. How do you expect people to invest in 2 months, in 6 months, or in a year if they don't even know if you're going to show up next week or next month? This is what builds trust, and this is key. This is one of the biggest nuggets that no one will ever tell you about, because everyone's so afraid of engagement. But once those numbers start to go down, you start to filter out people that don't need your service. You start to filter out people that don't relate with you, and that's completely fine. You're not going to be friends with everyone. And this is when you now put your offer in. This is when now you give an offer and people see the value and they invest. Not because they want to go on social media to buy, but because they see enough value to give you value for value now, which is money in exchange for the information that you're going to give them. And this is why I do my online coaching business. Keep on repeating the same process. You start building trust. You start becoming an authority. You start refining your skills of creating content. Be a better communicator and show that area of knowledge. Once you do that, then you have your first sale. That's when you'll realize that, wait, the same way I managed to make $1,000, I can make 10,000, I can make 100,000. And now this is something so big for me, because understand, I come from a Latin background. I was so afraid of spending. I was so frugal with my money. I was so afraid that I wasn't gonna make that money back. In reality, the reason I thought I was gonna make more money is because I wasn't going to take action. And if I wasn't going to take action, then that wouldn't result in making more money. Which is why I told you, it is the who. First is having the identity shift and making sure that you believe that you can achieve these things by understanding that it's not the how, it is the who. Once you create that discipline, that is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to get to, and you consistently take action, is the motor for you to get there. Because this is what teaches you to do what you're meant to do, not what you feel like doing. Because for a long time of your life, you do what you feel like doing, which is why you transition from one thing to the other and you don't get anything done, which is why you're watching this video today. And this is why this video is so special to me. Because before, my dream was to only ever make £5,000 a month, and that was me stretching it, having no idea how I was gonna make that happen. Craziest thing for me is that in June 2023, I was crying on this single bed at my mother's house. And I wrote this down. This is my dream, to help people see their potential even when they don't see theirs. I don't know how I'm gonna make this happen, but it's gonna come about. And now my dream is finally starting to come into fruition. Now I'm documenting my journey to making $85,000 per month, then scaling it to over $500,000 per month. And I'm gonna bring you guys with me. This is the power of a personal brand, and this is what gives me life. I was so afraid of sharing this with everyone because I didn't think that anyone could make it happen. Then I realized everyone can make it happen, but not everyone's gonna make it happen. Because first you have to be able to overcome hardships, because it ain't gonna be easy. Your level of success will never surpass your level of stress management. You have to be able to handle stress, because shit is going to get hard. Things are not always gonna go your way. Those are the moments where your character starts to show. Good times, that's who you think you are. In hard times, that's who you really are. Now, that's when you decide, do I really want this? Because the moment you give up, the only reason you feel frustration is because that reason comes back. The reason why you started, the reason why you will start again. Don't fall off. Create the individual that you admire. Create that disciplined person, and that's gonna take you to now transferring that into any vehicle that you want. Online coaching, personal branding, doesn't matter what it is. If you wanna grow your personal brand, create your systems, create your content roadmap, create your offer, have direct access to me one-to-one to help you create your online coaching business. DM me the word on Instagram, brand. Let me see if I can help you. Now, with that being said, if you like this video, comment down below what was your biggest takeaway. Record this and share it on your story so I can thank you and others can see it too. With that being said, that is soon we're out. Love you guys. Let's go.